Hello, I'm Monkey, the author of the webcomic Losing is Fun. It's an interactive comic, which means the audience serves as voices in the heads of the main characters by leaving posts on the Bay12 forums. The Bay12 forums is an internet forum dedicated to Dwarf Fortress, the elaborate fortress management and roguelike video game in which this comic is set. Readers should be aware that many of the jokes are based on the game, and this comic includes a fair bit of violence and cursing. The recording is a let's read of Chapter 1 with 5 other chapters written so far. The comic is a work in progress, and a spin-off game is in development, as well as an animated opening theme. So subscribe to this channel for more. Joining me for this Let's Read are some of my friends. Ox as the narrator, BlueZest TV as the audience, and my wife as some of the other voices. Without further ado, let's get started.
Glass says, be an elf.
You try your hardest to be an elf. You failed because you are already a kobold, and being an elf is a horrible, horrible idea. Wait, what were you doing? Oh yeah, sneaking into City Shanks, the Dwarven fortress. Legend tells the artifact Bronze Dagger tribute scar is hidden deep in the vaults of City Shanks. Its craft dwarfship is of the highest quality. Its handle is studded with onyx and silver. On the dagger is an image of a dwarf striking down a dingo using tribute scar. Ever since you were a hatchling, you knew one day tribute scar would be yours. You have finally made it up this mountain to the front of the fortress. Now what do you do?
Convince the dwarves that you are a dwarf. It will be difficult, certainly, but it is what you have trained your whole life to do.
This is a wonderful idea. Why didn't you think of this sooner? You were going to wait for a goblin siege, but that could take a very long time. You try to be a dwarf and fail because you are a kobold. You wish you were as tall and broad as a dwarf. They have such wonderful beards and make such beautiful daggers. If you can make a disguise, you are sure you will blend in. You start by using your loincloth as a fake beard. Meanwhile,
Glass says, put your loincloth back where it was supposed to be. Also, get to the rendezvous point, where you will mount your carefully trained key. +1. +1!
okay, now it's time to get serious. Hey, look, a pretty bird. I will name you IKEA. IKEA! No! That is my Cobalt Tech 3000 Copper Edition.
Damn it! Oh, I thought we'd tamed him already. Get IKEA to remember his training and get him to fly up as to a window in the fort.
IKEA, learn your manners. Ow! You have gained enough XP to become a dabbling wrestler. IKEA is sleeping, you think. You will have to train him better once you finish your business in City Shanks. You think you smell plump helmeat stew already. No, that is the vomit.
Immortal Ryukan, watch out for cage traps using your years of experience at Kobold Training Academy.
Cage traps? If there were cage traps, you would have seen them already. You will remember to keep your eyes out, though.
Scourge728 says, carve rude gestures into the walls. Ultima says, engrave images of cheese. You like cheese, don't you?
Some dwarf left their mark here. How quaint. That was a good warm-up. Now, an image of IKEA. The eyes are the windows to the soul. Do not rush the details. You have advanced from talented engraver to adept engraver.
Ultima says, that's quite detailed for an adept. Now finish it off with an engraving of yourself mooning! That'll teach those dwarves.
Engraved on the wall is a finely designed image of Quar Coco Boleps Klebis and dwarves. Grar Coco Boklebis is striking a menacing pose. The dwarves are not happy. The artwork relates to the arrival of Grar Coco Boklebis to City Shanks.
I made that as hard to read as possible, so you did a really great
What's
job.
so hard to say about
Cocobopclebus.
Yeah, yeah, just a bunch of vowels and consonants back to back.
Sally says,
Throw a rock at the suspiciously smooth floor rectangle to aesthetically enhance it.
Chink. Chink.
Ultima says, there's not much else to do here. Let's move on, stealthily, to practice your sneaking skills.
You are a competent ambusher and still need a lot of XP to become skilled. Every bit of XP counts. You pass several more traps without triggering them. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. There is also a doggo at the end of the tunnel. You don't think it has detected you yet.
Glass says, throw a piece of meat past the doggo's head down into that pit with the stairs.
You have 2 finely crafted giant mantis jerkies in your well-crafted llama leather bag. Do you want to use one of these?
Ultima says, throw one of those at the doggo, then dodge roll past him. Reth Ellie says,
Yeah, +1. Everyone knows that throwing in Dwarf Fortress is unbalanced and much too powerful.
The spinning, fine-crafted giant mantis jerky strikes the doggo in the head, bruising the skull. The doggo's lower body slides along the ground, bruising the muscle.
Ultima says, it is Monday, my dudes. Incoherent screeching!
Dona Mastillo says, +1 to incoherent screeching.
Internal screeching. Now that you have dealt with the dog, you have to decide your next hiding spot. You could go down the ramp or down one of the tunnels. The threshold of the tunnels have dwarven ruins on them, but you cannot read. There is a tunnel to the left, another on the other side of the staircase, and the tunnel on the right is sealed off.
Ultima says, don't forget to dodge roll past the dog. No matter what state it is in. Gotta get those dodging, evading, rolling skills up.
After composing yourself, you make a beeline for the tunnel to your left. You throw in a dodge roll for extra stealth. Ah, made it. It looks like there is an upward staircase at the end of this tunnel.
Ultima says, stealthily head down the tunnel. No need to hurry this time. If any dwarves are encountered, keep sneaking. If they spot you, tell them that you're a dwarf. Simple as that.
You sneak to the end of the tunnel to find a dwarf at the bottom of the staircase. She has seen you. You are about to tell her that you are a dwarf, but remember that your vocal cords can only produce the growls and hisses required for kobold language.
Raph Ellie says, Wharf, wharf.
The dwarf shouts.
Another effing kobold corpse I have to haul to the magma pits. For Lita's sake.
Everything will be okay if you remember to dodge roll, right?
Imix says, WTF, run!
Grizzly Bear Man says.
Where are you going, tiny skulking man?
He speaks with a thick Future Spikes accent.
Dona Mastillo says, kneel and swear fealty to the bear person in the hopes of becoming a kobold recruit.
I was not so different from kobold when I was cub.
He looks you in the eyes.
Drop the dagger, and my comrade Doran will not kill you.
Doran rolls her eyes.
Ram says, best to drop everything in your loincloth. The dagger, throwing axes, greatsword, mining pick, anvil, forklift, Florida, the Beatles, a saxophone, the color of a white cloud in the depth of midnight, the original draft of Starry Night.
You have to think long and hard about this one. This dagger is all you have left. Who are you kidding? Even this dagger doesn't belong to you. You stole it when you were flunked out of Kobold Academy. Maybe you are a stupid monster, like they say. Maybe you deserve whatever the dwarves are going to do with you. You put the dagger down. You also have things in your well-crafted llama leather bag. If you want to fully inspect your inventory, press I.
Tapka says, Press I.
As you do that, the Grizzly Bear Man picks up your Kobold Tech 3000.
See, Doran? He may be useful for our cause.
Doran says,
I am serious, Debian. If Solon finds out about this, we're dead.
Grizzly Bear Man says,
I have a few ideas, but we will have to discuss it with the others. What is your name, little one?
Tapka says, Craig Narwigatha.
Ultima says, Crag, no way! It's Crag Tooth. Audibly quarrel with the conflicting voices in your head.
Cragitude. Cragitude.
I guess his name is Craig?
the Grizzly Bear Man says,
Craig, please, pull yourself together and go upstairs to garden to meet others. Ultima says, do as they say. Just head up the stairs into the garden. Enough messing around. For now.
You follow Grizzly Bear Man up the stairs. It is a narrow staircase that wraps around to the east and then goes up for 13 Z levels. At one point, it passes through a cluster of pretty purple crystals. The staircase ends in a narrow tunnel. Several archways are bricked off on either side. You follow the tunnel to an arcade overlooking a sculptured garden somewhere near the top of the mountain. There are a variety of outdoor crops growing in the corners. An elf woman is busy etching a crappy drawing of an elf and cheese. Another elf is sitting with a large doggo. A dwarf paces nearby a rose gold sculpture of a plump helmet.
Oh, Doran! Who's your little friend? He is so cute. I've never met a living, breathing kobold before. Oh, nature, I'm so excited.
Doran interjects.
Ame, please, this is my prisoner, not my friend.
Can I pet your prisoner? He is so adorable. Look at his ears. Wait, that's not very nice. You can't just make people your prisoner like that. What is going on?
Meanwhile, Grizzly Bear Man has approached the other strangers.
I have a new plan.
Ultima says,
Hold on. Did we just kill someone's doggy? This might not go so well.
Mr. Lurkety says, I doubt it's dead. Just unconscious, I would guess.
Preferred says, everyone knows bees make buttloads of honey out of nothing. Stuff some bees into your inventory to bring home and start your own bee colony. Quote to quote, anything that is obviously nailed down, like the statue, make a show of being a kobold, and humorously try but fail to pick up as briefly pass, so they don't realize that you're this close to grabbing something else.
Mr. Lurkety says, +1 and go for the giant fork.
You do some dodge rolls and look for improvised weapons, while Ame follows you around. The fork in the plump helmet statue is shiny and you want it.
And Craig disables taps. That is where you come in, Pemble.
The male dwarf grunts. You start to get tired and notice a nice sharp rock at your feet. You hide it in your bag. You attempt to capture some bees, but they're too fast for you. You feel it would probably be easier to just go to the market and buy some honey at this point. The other elf woman and her dog have been staring at you. She says,
That sounds doable. I might have to train a new dog, but it shouldn't take long.
Grizzly Bear Man says,
Ame, engrave us quick map, please. There are still some parts of plan we have to figure out, and we can't take any risks. We don't want comrades to get hurt.
Ame starts etching away at a smooth part of the wall enthusiastically.
We are here.
He says, and he points at the mountain thing. Unfortunately, you cannot read.
Put the Corps of Siege Engineers down here. We are the Gears of Decency. You will have to help us with our quest.
Duna Mispeo says, give a dramatic kobold speech in support of the newfound friendship you have discovered.
You clear your throat and say, which is kobold for,
Greetings, the gears of decency. I am pleased to join your ranks and will accept your quest. Though I may be small, some would say I am a legendary dodge sneak roller, and I might add, I am an adept engraver.
The platinum-haired elf says,
Grar.
which roughly translates to,
Nice.
Scourge says, we need more cat engravings.
The others look at each other confused. Ame has nearly finished the map, and you see your opportunity to demonstrate your engraving skills. You etch a kitten. Grizzly Bear Man continues.
The corps of siege engineers were formed to maintain the fortress's traps and other machinery. A growing portion of fortress's funds now go to their top secret science experiments. Our mission is to infiltrate the corps facilities, rescue their test subjects, and expose the corruption that is plaguing this fortress.
And save the fluffy wobblers!
Ame interjects. The platinum-haired elf says,
Yes, and save the fluffy wobblers. We do know the scientists have taken a special interest in fluffy wobblers recently. We believe they are using the fluffy wobbler for some sort of weapon of mass destruction. 3 of my war dogs have been requested by the Corps to be delivered in 3 days. That will put 3 of our allies directly inside. We have until then to do reconnaissance. Your job, Craig, is to help us deal with the elaborate defenses around the lab. As a kobold, you would have years of experience at Kobold Academy. Once you get Grizzly Bear Man inside, he and the war dogs will take it from there.
the map is now complete.
Ame and Bembul, help Craig get into City Shanks. I will meet you at the Spicy Olive. Craig, get into barrel. Ultima says, engrave a face on the engraving of a person lying down.
Meanwhile, you draw a face on the cavern.
Tapka says, hey, you're gonna risk your life. It must be for something. Demand the artifact bronze dagger. Tribute scar. As a reward when fortress will be captured. P.S. No inscriptions! No inscriptions! On pedestal. Omega Phi Alpha P. It can only be scoliosis. So we have 3 more letters. Can be carved in as metallic Peter Man. And the door leading to the garden really has an inscription. New symbol. Hippies. Well, not. They are. At the top left side, Old City Shanks. At the left side, New City Shanks. Plus is definitely W. An inscription above the other door is Forward Barracks. And Omega is F. So we lack symbols for J, Q, V, X, and Z. At bottom, Alts. Vaults for V.
You are now a dabbling reader, but you still have a ways to go. You do a quick sketch of Tribute Scar and demand it as a reward for your troubles. The platinum-haired elf says she has never heard of it before.
Jagrocker course.
Get the F in the barrel already.
Doran says as she shoves you inside. It smells pleasantly sweet in here. Succession engraving time! Congratulations, you are now an expert engraver.
Sanctum says a groove in the wood is soft, and tiny slit creates a peak hole.
You peek through your tiny peek hole.
That is in the barrel.
Starver says, what would attract the least attention is whatever our dwarf elf are just about to tell the official, right? So maybe we ought to sound like something sitting here, waiting, still to be described, rather than risk sounding like a barrel full of flour sacks is infested with vermin.
You cover the peek hole and wait for your cue. Bemble mumbles.
Shells.
There are no shells in this fortress.
Replies the dwarf with the clipboard. Ame says,
It's honey. We're just bringing this fruit and honey to the stills.
you try to sound like honey.
Glub, glub.
We have no time for this! Something triggered the fortress defenses and killed a dog! Cog, escort them to the barrows!
Bumble mutters.
Shells. I need shells.
And keep a close eye on the dwarf!
There's a silence, except the rumbling of a wheelbarrow and Bemble's mumbling. The voices in your head are hard to block out now. You wonder how tall this Ramp's case is. Ramp's case. Is that a word in Dwarven? Your mind has wandered from etymology to epistemology. How do we know anything at all? What if you are, like, just some character, an elaborate engraving on a wall? It has been at least 45 minutes since you started down this ramp. Bemble starts chanting the word shells.
Shells. Shells. Shells. Shells.
The wheelbarrow suddenly stops moving.
Tepk says, press I and look in your bag again. Maybe you missed something last time. And that something was a kind of shell. +1. But if this doesn't work, wait for him to go berserk and tip the barrel over and roll away down the ramp.
No shells to be found.
I will have shells.
As Bemble goes berserk, you roll right out of the wheelbarrow. You are stunned. A loud siren fills your ears.
Puppyguard says, hide behind the barrel on the left.
You are no longer stunned, but you are still feeling stunning. You hide behind the barrels and assess your surroundings. Where are all the dwarves? You start to hear a whooshing sound coming from the rampscape. The ground strikes the axe dwarf, and the injured part explodes into gore.
There's an axe! Acquire axe! Mr. Lurkety says, take axe and duck behind a different barrel. Kitty Tack says, take axe, look for the one who threw the axeman off the stairs, then duck behind a barrel. Yawn.
The guard says, take axe, lick the fluid coming out of the barrel, then look throw the axeman off the staircase, then duck behind the barrel.
Ultima says, take axe, lick the fluid coming out of the barrel, look for who threw the axeman off the staircase, then duck behind the barrel. Then proceed to eat one of your snacks, if you have any left. Duna Misdio says, +1, but instead of ducking behind a barrel, you should instead vacate the area immediately. Bemble probably shoved an axe dwarf off on his way down here.
It tastes like dwarven rum. You acquire the axe and eat the last of your mantis jerky.
Duna Misdio says, so to the door on the left, over past the ramp. It risks detection via those moving on the ramp, but it should be the safest area by method of visual examination. It has the least windows, and therefore the least chance of being occupied by angry face-kicking dwarves.
You make a mad dash for that particular tunnel. The tunnel leads to a staircase. The air down here feels colder.
Duna Misdio says, all of this is extremely prudent. I, however, have an overdeveloped sense of greed. Loot and scoot. Mighty Mushroom says, the voice of greed in our head sounds like it's convincing the voice of prudence. Come to think of it, that one order-giving dwarf said that something had triggered an alarm and killed a dog. So everyone was supposed to be in burrows. They're probably not doing burials during the emergency with whatever that big scary thing is. Though we should probably have plenty of time to check for interesting clues and useful items, shiny goodies. These tablets are probably written in complex ruins that, as a dabbling reader, we couldn't understand anyway. But maybe we can improve our skill. And with our engraving skill, we could maybe leave behind some cold wisdom for the dwarves to find, such as an illustrated guide to sneaking, successful pictures of us performing a flawless dodge and roll.
The tablets are blank. You find 3 gold coins to loot and a chisel. You engrave all 3 steps of a sneak dodge roll maneuver onto one of these tablets. Succession engraving time! You're about to finish filling the tablet when you hear noise coming from the staircase.
Nuno Mistio says, are we able to hide between the rafters on the ceiling like a ninja? If so, we should do that.
You would do this, but the rafters are too far apart.
Gigabyte Bob says, hide in the stone coffin.
You hide in the first place you can find, which is a broken stone coffin. Someone has entered the catacombs. But you make it inside before you are spotted.
Nuno Mistio says, for now, I suppose all we can vote for is grab that amulet.
You grab the amulet and hang it from your neck. You brace yourself for a surge of hulkish power, but nothing seems to happen. Strange. You hear the dwarf's footsteps become fainter, so you take a peek. The bandana-clad dwarf has gone deeper into the catacombs.
Pikachu 17 says, carefully sneak up behind the dwarf to see what he is doing, then possibly return to your mission of helping deal with the elaborate defenses around the lab. Nuno Mistio says, leave immediately. Do we have any reason to be here aside from hiding from the murder fest happening upstairs? No sarcasm? That's probably been dealt with. Dusty Wayfarer says +1.
You sneak to the next hallway to check on the dwarf. Okay then. It doesn't look like this tunnel leads to the labs. Maybe it's time to head back. You sneak dodge roll back up the stairs. You only now notice that the alarm has stopped.
Preferred says, first things first, we better cover more than a few lumps of cave moss and microslime. We must pass as a traveling performer on our way to the Spicy Olive. Tie a string to the axe and make a kuda jamblas.
One of the axe heads is getting in the way, so you pry it off with your sharp rock. You tie on the string, and voila! You have a Cladujalamis. You smear some cave moss on your skin and don a mushroom hat. Now you can probably pass as a lizard man bard. You walk to the Spicy Olive and no one has kicked you in the face yet. This disguise might actually be working. You get some XP in disguise. You hear some commotion on the other side of the door. You take a peek. This is the most people you have seen in one spot since you left the caves. There are dwarves eating and drinking while a human performer sings and dances. Seeing food makes you realize how hungry you are.
Model Petrol says, offer carvings of food for actual food. And if that doesn't work, carve some counterfeit currency and use that.
You scoot toward the bar while keeping a hold of your hat. While scooting, you overhear an argument between two dwarves.
Knight says, be adopted by a cat.
You carve near the cat who seems to have some sort of allergy problem. Near the completion of your cheese, you hear someone shout behind you.
Boy, defacing public property, are we?
The Drell says, okay, stand aside for the cheese. And when everyone is distracted by your masterful engraving work, kick the guard in the party, grab the shield, then run.
You stand aside and let your engraving speak for itself. Perfect distraction for dodge rolls! You make it behind the adamantine shield. The champion laughs and throws aside his sword. The champion grabs your right lower arm with his left lower arm. The champion locks your right elbow with his left lower arm. The champion bends your right lower arm with his lower left arm, and the right elbow collapses. A ligament in the right elbow has been torn. The mayor grabs the shield. The pain's so bad you can't keep a hold of it anyways. Mayor punches you in the jaw with his right hand. Some of the blood got on your pendant. It starts to vibrate and become hot against your chest. The vibrations move into your chest itself. You feel the blood flowing through your body. You start to feel the blood flowing through the dwarves' bodies too. Everything is blood.
Thanks to all my readers, especially Ox, Luzest, and Kai, for helping me make this Let's Read. Music by Simon Swerwer. BlueZest is a talented Twitch streamer who can be found on twitch.tv/BlueZestTV. If you want to make pixel art in the style of my comic, then check out the pixel art web app I'm developing on the website alisting.pro. Kickstarter coming soon. You can also join the alisting.pro Discord server, which includes a Discord bot for collecting cats, playing blackjack, and more. Links in the description. And make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more.